And oh my God, I don't think I'd want my kids to
rough.
grow up on that, man.
It's a lot of drunks.
Holy crap.
And they're ready to fight at all times.
Yeah. I was ready to fight. Like, I'm like, let's fucking do this. You know, like, I mean, I was ready.
It is nutty. You know, that
puts you in a mood, man.
It does. Yeah. Everyone's very aggro. Everyone's drinking outside and they're ready to go. You know, and I was
Ronnie all of a sudden, you know, from Jersey Shore. Like, I'm just ready to rip my shirt off and throw.
One shot.
I was ready to throw down.
I got to tell the listeners, there's not much more anxiety than putting your house in order, knowing that Matt Paxton from Clutter Cleaners is coming over. Last night, the laundry was done. Towels are folded. This place, like, just the empty dog dish. My wife's like, well, where are we going to put this? My wife shampooed and conditioned her hair. Like, we all got made up. I mean,
people think that I'm like we're just like the perfect cleaner. I mean,
it's just I don't know. It's this. I had more angst about how the place looked, and we're in a hotel, thank God. So, but housekeeping didn't come through. My wife cleans the room herself.
Cleaned the whole place.
We don't because we don't like people coming in and out of the room because we just.
Oh, when I go on the road, man, I put the do not disturb in the minute I get there.
Sleep, make love, go back to sleep. As illustrated by your two children.
Yes.
So I know you've done it at least twice.
That's the proof. That's the only proof I've had sex in the last 2 years.
This, really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe that for a second. Your wife is very pretty, by the way.
Thank you. She's
and I
beautiful
don't think she would appreciate that you showed me a photo of her an hour before she gave birth.
Thank you for showing.
She looks very unhappy.
I love you, babe.
She looks like, why are you taking my picture right now?
We had the baby at home, and my wife was about an hour from really pushing, and I took a picture of her, and it wasn't a good idea. She's been pretty upset about it.
Why was Randy the most frustrating to you?
So Randy, here's the deal with Randy.
This is why I interrupted you early. Now I got to interrupt you twice to get the same point across because it's more digressions. But Randy's a guy that, he's hoarding, but he's hoarding games that other people can actually. Like if I was in town and I saw Randyland, I would tell all my buddies, like, we're going. Like he's got the old original Playboy pinball machine.
You remember those old? He does have one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Do you remember? Excuse me, those old. Baseball pinballs with the bat, and it would go into and it had the ramps to go into the upper deck. He has 6 of them.
So why does that guy have a problem?
My problem with Randy.
I mean, I know with the mannequins, he's batshit crazy with the mannequin. Randy, we know you listen to Randy listens to the podcast.
Oh, Randy loves you guys. Well, he loves your wife. He's not so sure about you.
Yeah, he didn't know who I was, but he's like, Nikki Cox from Las Vegas? Yes.
Oh, he was excited.
But like, why was he the most frustrating to you?
Randy, for me, I wanted to help him, and I guess I gave him more credit. I thought we were very tight, and we spent a lot of time together. I'll often spend 3 or 4 days with him before the cameras start rolling because I really need to know them, and I've got to have trust. We've got to be a team. And so I'd spent a lot of time with Randy, and I'd scouted the place a couple months before. I mean, I just felt like we could help him. And Randy went back into hoarder mode, which is he wanted to be in control. And instead of accepting our help, he turned into a total asshole. And he just kept trying to prove me wrong. And he just kept trying to be in control. And what happens with a hoarder mentally is if they're not in control over anything else in their life, which is like love and family and jobs and things like that, they take control of whatever they have left. And that's their hoard. Well, Randy went back. He got better, started accepting help, and then he withdrew and came back into hoarder mode. And I got so mad at him because he was just trying to prove to the world that he could do it but do it by himself without using our help.
That's addict behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do it my way.
Screw you. I don't need you. And that's what he did to me, and it made me so mad. So we had this huge fight.
You thought you were boys?
Well, I thought we were boys, and I thought he'd accepted my help.
But what was he hoarding?
The
dummies were something else, but at least he had like a play. And that episode was a very odd episode, the Randy Lane one, because it was almost a letdown. But out of all the shows you've done, there has to be. I'm surprised your success rate is what it is. Honestly.
Well, if they do the therapy, it's high. If they don't do therapy, it's guaranteed it fills right back up.
But Randyland, it just seemed like you guys just reorganized shit for him.
Well, we kind of did. For him,
I didn't see much leaving and everything. Like the dummies were up.
Yeah.
High.
The 800 guy junk truck, we had one trash bag in there. That's it. Only one bag of trash went out of the whole place.
And it just seemed like
20,000 square feet.
20,000 square feet.
We took
and you
one
filled
bag
the
of
truck
trash.
with one bag.
One bag. That's it.
So it seemed, as a viewer, I'm going, well, all they did is like rearrange stuff.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, hoarding. People don't understand. Hoarding is totally mental, and I took a lot of heat. People over and said, "Oh, you guys get screwed. Randy just used you as a moving service." We didn't.
One bag, not really.
Well, if all we do is deal with the mental side of the hoarding,
get a drunk Italian guy to carry it for you.
He probably could have. I mean, it's all mental, and there's a reason they do it. we had 3 days straight of therapy for Randy. And at the beginning, he was locking the door. He had one set of keys, wouldn't let anybody come in or out. We had to actually get permission. It was like almost having like a secret knock to get into Randyland. And by the end of the shoot, he was giving the keys to the PAs to run around and do anything. He didn't care.
But I don't understand what the problem was. He had his own storage space filled with his own
Randy
stuff.
had a museum about himself.
Well, I know he's crazy.
But no one was allowed in it.
Right.
I mean, think about that. He had a museum, a 10,000 square foot museum of his entire life.
But you don't think Angeline is like that, or like there's got to be a bunch of stars that like Diana Ross probably has her whole house.
Oh, I mean, look at.
But Randy, but what I'm saying, I guess my problem is, and you address this in your book, which is great. And thank you for the copies. You said recovery is relative, and that really blew me away. You said it in the introduction.
Well, yeah.
But with Randy, here's a guy that's hoarding mannequins as himself and video games, and he's keeping in a storage unit. And like you said, but he's the only. It's a museum for him, and but he's the only one that can go in it. And I think a lot of the listeners and a lot of the viewers of that show go, well, then who cares? Who cares? That's the guy that has a storage unit filled with pictures of himself and video games and dummies. And when you watch it, you go, this guy's beats to the different drummer, no doubt about it. But it's not like when you go to someone's house and there's bags of human feces next to their bed and the kids are like eating next to them.
Yeah, I pushed hard for Randy. I mean, I scouted it. I wanted us to do the show there. The network didn't really want to do it at first.
What did you want to change?
Let me me, for Randy, I wanted people to see Randyland, because what Randy had done is, and I talk about my dad a ton. I mean, in my book and in my blog, everything I talk about my dad. My dad was a different guy. He didn't have a regular, normal job like everybody else. He was in advertising, but he was an interesting guy. And for me, walking around Randyland, the minute it did for me was he had a row, about 50 skee ball machines. And he had put them, they all worked. He put them on.
Everything you're saying, I go, this is great.
Yeah. So,
this is a guy I want to know.
Yeah, 50 skee ball machines.
You said something, don't lose your train of thought. Yeah. But no one was allowed to see it.
No one was allowed to see
That's the sickness.
Stick with this is good, because 50 skee ball machines, he had hand-laid each one of them, fixed each one of them. He put a half-second timer on each one, so that and then in a light, basically starter. So he came in and he clapped his hands, and the first one comes on. And then as soon as you roll the first ball, there's a half-second timer on the other 50. And the whole room lights up. Wow. Right? And that minute it lights up, all of a sudden, I feel my dad. I smell my dad. I hear my dad talking to me. I'm back in middle school hanging out with my dad. My dead father that's no longer with us. All those emotions come back. And I'm with my dad again. And as a new father, I get really emotional, and I'm like, I want the world to see this. And when I scattered that with Randy, I was like, dude, you've got to get past this mental block of not letting anyone in, because the world needs to see Randyland. He can't do it.
Well, what was the connection between your dad? Was your dad did he run like a skee ball joint? I don't know.
No, we just would go to the Kings Dominion, or we'd go to the park, and it was fun for my dad and I.
It was
great memories of as a kid, yeah.
For me, it was Seaside Heights, your favorite place.
Exactly.
Jersey Shore.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But I mean, whatever it was, you can be in a dump. Yeah, you can be in a dump with your dad, but when you got that emotional bond, just you and your dad,
you had a visceral response. Yeah, and that's why you reached out to Randy.
And I've been struggling, missing my dad. I mean, from the minute he died, I've had a hard time.
When did your father die?
91, 2001, right before September 11th.
And what did he die of?
Yeah, he had cancer. It was actually cool. He had 3 months. He found out. They said, "Man, you got like 5 weeks."
The pancreatic.
It was right on the lung. It wasn't lung cancer. It was right on the lung. But they you got about 5 weeks. Like, sew up your business and say goodbye. And so my brother and I left our jobs like that day, and we hung out with our dad for 5 weeks. Said goodbye. He actually had all of his buddies come over and say goodbye, and that was a really cool experience. But I still miss him. I still feel like every once in a while he's going to come back, and say hi. But that minute with Randy in Randyland was the first time I'd ever really gotten my dad back. And it was such a flood of emotion for me. So I was like, the world's got to see this, man. Randy, he can't do it. He's got that mental block. He's hoarding control. And that's so silly. And none of this showed on the show. That's why I was so disappointed in the edit. Because I could have done a 2-hour movie on Randy. Easy.
Why don't we do a documentary on Randy?
I think someone actually got the rights to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I know. I got to take you over there. It's just unreal. And it evoked so much emotion. And for me, I mean, he's hoarding, this sounds so stupid, but he's hoarding our fun and our laughter and our emotions. Like, he's holding that back. He built an amazing museum. The world needs to see it. And he's hoarding that control. And that's why I push Randy so much. Randy and I are still very good friends. We talk a lot. I mean, I talk to him almost every week. I'm trying to get him to take this on the road and actually do like some kind of creative art thing that goes around. Because people need to see it, man. It's intense. It's amazing.
If I went to the MoMA and they had Randyland exhibit, I wouldn't think, what's this doing here?
But once you spend time in it, you're blown away.
I'm saying as a as an art piece, as a traveling piece, if you put it in the Museum of Modern Art, I wouldn't think, like, why is this in a museum? I would get it as an installation at the MoMA. As do you know?
I told you saying. That's what I want him to do. I mean, I really, and to the point where I was like, man, maybe I should put my own money into this because once you see someone
put your own
there,
money into an extra set of keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't put your money into.
Well, my wife won't let me do anything. None of that stuff's ever going to happen. I can have those dreams.
Just take the keys, get them copied.
Yeah. It's the most amazing place in the world.
And now, does Randy know that the mannequins look nothing like him?
He thinks they look identical.
And there was Yachtsman Randy. There was Fancy Randy.
Fancy Randy was my favorite. There was
at the end of the podcast.
Marching Band Randy was pretty sweet. I loved Marching Band Randy. I have a picture of me and Marching Band Randy.
This is becoming my favorite podcast of all time.
Oh, thank you.
Do you dream about your dad?
Every day, yeah. I even like when something cool happened. Like, I mean, some reason I'm well known now. I'm not famous, but like this celebrity stuff from being on Hoarders is really weird for me. So like when I got a tweet from you to come on Mohr, I'm like, holy crap, man, I'm in Mohr Stories. So I reached for my phone to call my dad. My dad's been dead 10 years, man. I can still tell you the phone number for his cell phone. I still want to dial it and tell him good things that are happening. And my life was so shitty when he died. He died when I was at my lowest. And so I don't want to get too emotional. I want my dad to see me as a dad. And I was a screw up. Did he
meet your wife?
No. Oh God.
My grandfather.
My wife was in like third grade when my dad died.
It's kind of hot when you put it that way.
Straight, absolutely. It's fucking awesome.
See, I'll break the tension. Yeah. I don't want you to
we use humor to get through very serious things. I'm
asking you some deep questions because it fascinates me, but I don't want you to get uncomfortable. So I'll always pop.
I'm an open book, dude. I clean up shit for a living.
I know, and I want to ask you more about cleaning up shit. But I also like my mother's father, Red, was my hero. And to this day, Maurice Ferguson.
Yeah.
My middle name is Ferguson.
Okay.
John Ferguson Mohr. Now it's John Ferguson Cox Mohr. And my biggest thing in life is if he could have met her, those two. Oh my God. And my grandfather Red, I think about. I haven't had a parent die, so I know like when you tell someone who's had a parent die about a grandparent dying, I think it gets exponentially. Obviously,
grief is relative for everybody. It's not.
But this is an old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This isn't
your old man, though. To you, it means a lot.
But I mean, I've always been a pragmatist. When people go like, my great grandmother died, I'm like, well, she was 104. Fucking Rose Kennedy died. What did she? As Jeff Ross
went to high school with Jesus. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Jeffrey Ross has a great bit. He was on the subway, and the Post said Rose Kennedy died at 104, and the guy in the subway next to him goes, "How did she die?" He goes, "She rolled her dune buggy." So, yeah, her parachute didn't open. She was storming the beaches in Grenada, and she got shot by they took her out back and shot her. She was 104. That's all. The Elements. Yeah. Me and my wife got hysterical when Ozzie Davis died. They didn't say how Ozzie Davis, the actor, died. And we were like, what's the weirdest thing you could put in an obituary about someone's death? And we decided it would be The Elements. Like, Matt Paxton died at 55 years old. Due to the elements.
And that's it.
It's just because that's how you die, like when you're out hiking and shit. Yeah. But if you're just at home and they just found you, the elements, they just got you. It's like so weird, like air. Basically, air got you.
It's weird for me. My dad dying is actually the best thing that ever happened to me. I got my shit together once my dad died. So it's a weird.
Well, most people would go in the other direction. They would use that as a reason to get more.
Well, and that's what I work with my hoarders. I try to tell them, look, there's good in everything. And that's. I mean, I talk about my dad a ton. Because I want the hoarders to see good comes out of everything. His name was Ed Paxton. He was a wild man. Anyone that's listening that knew him
I wish everybody could see the smile on your face.
Oh, my God.
You're making me tear up.
People that know my dad love what's happening because I'm often an extension of my dad. But for me, I mean, it motivated all his buddies.
He never met a stranger, right?
No. Oh, my God, no. And he was everybody's best friend.
I know the type.
He was everybody's best friend. And his life was tragic. I had to pay his medical bills when he died. He couldn't even pay. He literally couldn't pay his doctor bill. He couldn't afford to die. But like
couldn't afford to die.
But there was 1,000 people at his funeral. So for me, I always come back to like, that's awesome. You know, and it was a 2-hour funeral of people just telling stories about my dad, like telling awesome stories, cool stories, you know. And I'm like, that's the way I want to die. There was a whole group of people in the back from Uganda. This one dude, he had like 15 wives, and he was